So, hi, Amelia, and I hope it is pronounced well. Is this Amelia?
Sí, Amelia.
Amelia, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And the next mystery to me, I found actually today that your last name is Blevins, how it should be, because on Twitter you are Aries, or is it right?
Adas Blevins. So I have two last names.
Ah,
Adas.
Okay.
Blevins.
Blevins is perfect. So Blevins wouldn't be any mystery to me. And why it's mystery? Because I met you several times at TomEE booth,
Mm-hmm.
and I always ask, who is it? Because you are walking around always, in good mood. But I don't think you were a coder. And I asked you about that last time. And you see, of course, I'm a Blevins. I said, okay, now I got you. So your wife from David. So and everything was crystal clear. But you were a mystery to me for I would say 2 years, and I always ask myself, who is it actually? They're really nice. So, but before we yeah, sorry.
And let me just correct something. I think I did tell you. It's just that I used to be a coder before David was a coder. I was writing code in 95.
Yeah, you told me this. And therefore,
97,
I can ask you right now, what was your first computer?
Oh my gosh, it was a high school computer lab. I remember when they put the computers in 94, and we were required to create emails, and at that time it was Yahoo, and it was just such an incredible thing. So since I studied physics and math, it was just so easy to go into it because it's pure logic and fun.
So you studied physics and math?
Correct.
Wow. I thought you started computer science, but physics and math.
I did.
Wow.
I did. In Ecuador, it's not. I am from Ecuador, right, Adam?
Yes.
So it's not like in the United States or in Europe where you choose a major when you go after high school at 18. In Ecuador, most of the high schools are specialized. That means when you hit the middle of high school, you need to choose and decide, do you want to be a doctor? That means you have to go to chemistry. And for 3 years, specialized lots on that, like hours and hours, like 10 hours and chemistry and biology and all these things. If you want to go into business, you take that road. And if you want to go into engineering, you take physics and math. And for 3 years, the only things you see are pretty much math, physics, logic, geometry, algorithms, everything you can imagine. So it's pretty nice. In the United States, you have so much flexibility to have a major or two majors and have what we call it optionals, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a totally different situation, and it's pretty cool, but absolutely different in the structure. So this is why it's confusing for some people to know that I used to study computer engineering. And then when I moved to the States, I changed it into finance and operations and global studies because it was just fun. And I didn't want both of us to do computers, like code related.
So you studied computer science and math and physics.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't. This is in Ecuador. But in Ecuador, when I moved here, I changed it into more the business side.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, then you are a secret weapon because now you have the knowledge, about computer science, physics, math, and business.
Yes. Well, wow. I don't call it secret weapon. I said, you see, if you enjoy learning and you are flexible to adapt extremely fast and actually use what you are learning in, get others to help you grow, I think that helps.
Yeah. Anything else is boring, without learning, it is just boredom. And then without learning, nothing makes sense, I would say.
Correct. And it's also super boring. These things, I have my title. That doesn't mean anything if you're not actually creating value for the community or whatever you are doing, right?
Do you have an official title, like, I don't know, doctor in math or something like this?
No. That would be a total PhD. We don't do that, those kind of things.
Okay.
Different.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can say regular title.
Okay, regular title. Perfect. And so, but your first computer was quite late. It was at high school. So before then, you had no interest in computers?
Because we didn't have computers. I come from a little town in Ecuador, northern Ecuador. So the computers that we see today are so, you are able to get them if you travel or if someone orders them for you.
Mm-hmm.
But with the imports in Ecuador, it wouldn't be that easy to get a computer that is fast without having to pay 80% of it. So in 94, 95, that is a luxury that pretty much only the government had. So we had the regular computers, not computers, but actually big machines at the labs. And it was just great.
Okay. So now, why you got interested in math, physics, and computers without having actual computers? So this is even more interesting. So why math and physics, and why not something else? So
because math is just, I like logic. And before I went into computers to study computing engineering, I just loved math and physics. Just easy. It's not, math never lies. It's pure logic.
Yes.
Algorithms never lie. It's just so simple.
Okay. It depends on the teacher, I would say. So
that too.
Yeah.
I had great teachers since high school. So
yeah, this was perfect. So for me, it was like different. I really liked computer and didn't like math because probably of the teachers. And but one time as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, and someone told me, if you really would like to be an astronaut, you will have to learn math. So I go, no way. Really? Yes. No. Then I started to learn math and it was fun. But this was actually my road to math a little bit. And this is actually a great story. So you had great teachers. They were interested in math and physics, I guess. And why physics?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why physics?
Yeah, because you needed both. So,
okay.
So it's so specialized that for 3 years, it was only 12 of us. 4 girls and 8 guys, and the same people for the entire time with the same teachers. And it's just pretty hardcore, dedicated, 1 to 6 p.m. And it's just like, that's one of the coolest things about the system. When you are in high school and you have the last 3 years, you choose. So then when you go into whatever you want to do, like engineering or architecture or be a civil engineer, you are already equipped to handle 12 days school or you name it, because most of us in Ecuador, it's very hard to work and study when you are at the university because the classes take you the entire day. It's not like in the United States where you can have a day that you don't have any class because it's selective. You can choose from different classes, and it's just so flexible. Most people in the United States work through college. That is super rare. It is now becoming a bit better in Ecuador, but most of the Ecuadorian population that goes into college only gets to work regularly after the college. Other than that, we call it like what is it called? Like summer classes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you are required to take summer classes if your grades were not optimal to 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm. And you had some summer classes?
No, I didn't.
Very good. And you said there were 4 girls and 8 boys, you said? 8 guys? And who was better, the girls or guys? Let's tell me.
Actually, we elevated each other.
Cool.
There was no time to be lazy. You will be secret quizzes. Mm-hmm. It was pretty out there.
So what was the coolest, thing in physics you did? Or in math?
Oh my.
Or you heard about this or exercise? I'm just curious because you are so excited about math and physics. So what's behind, So what you did was most or an experiment or whatever fascinated you with math or physics. So what was it?
Well, Adam, you were talking about one contingent in 3 years, and that doesn't work. What we did as a group, projects, that counts. Yeah. And today it has been more than 20 years, like 23 years. I couldn't tell you. I wish I'd known this was just about classes in Ecuador, and I would have invited one of my best friends, Tatiana, who she just works right now for a media and does support. Mm-hmm. And what we talk about is, so we want to know about energy. We want to know about this. Why that? Do you see? You need to be working and understanding how electricity goes. Do you see? This might not be related to physics or math to some people, but we apply it.
Okay.
Like we used to apply it to actual issues within our city, even the country. So this is the new issue. How do we fix it and using what? So it was very peculiar to that time. So it's impossible for me to be involved.
Yeah. No. What I'm talking about as a kid, I was completely fascinated in math by simple things like how it is possible that the numbers are endless, for instance, or why it is impossible to travel faster than light. So this is what was for me as a kid, like, it is impossible. So how it's possible? I mean, it should be possible. So this is what motivated me a little bit, to learn a little bit physics and math. So this was the question, actually. What motivated you?
Velocity. Oh, I like applying the formulas and understanding why X.
Okay.
Right? Beyond getting the solution, why X? And that is one of the most fascinating things about physics, that the formulas can be applied. And if you are able to understand the why, it doesn't really even matter if you got the wrong solution. You will get to it after you continue to try it, because now you understand the main issue, right?
Okay.
It's like not memorization. What I like about math and physics, to tell you the truth, you don't have to memorize. If you understand the why, even the formula will be just there.
Okay.
And you
so that is similar to software somehow, right? So you don't have, to know about the frameworks. You have to know about the principles. So then it's easier.
Yes. Yes, I think that is one of the most amazing coders, like you are understanding what is the principle, what is the value? Will this be sustainable beyond myself? Yeah, not only to the client, but that is the user, but other coders, right? So I think about sustainability, right? And I think that physics and math are extremely well defined into the flexible, because it goes by the person that is applying them. But if they understand the why, it's just so much fun and fascinating. Like geophysics is so fun. I remember when I moved here and I decided, I want to go into business and economics. And then for fun, most people would take theater, and I take geophysics and calculus, and just for fun, right?
Yeah.
Just
exactly. Calculus. This is actually, someone said that in math, before calculus, the invention of calculus, it was like, Stone Age, and after calculus was the New Age. And the calculus is actually like, there is then, if you get calculus, this is a completely new math level. You like calculus in integrals, or not that?
I love integrals too. Calculus and integrals is like two beasts, same animal.
Okay.
I love it.
But for me, calculus, I knew a little bit about computers, and I think calculus make only sense if you have computer, right? Because it is approximation. So you need some. For me, it was crazy to think that actually a human can solve a calculus. It should be a machine, because machines are very good in approximation. So this is what I thought about calculus. I didn't like them a lot. It was for me more a tool, for computers, and
a necessity. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, very good. So now, leave math. Otherwise, we don't get to the real topics. So you started. So you had physics and math, and then computer science, or were both at once? So
first math and physics. Then I went into computer engineering.
Okay.
And when I moved to the States, I went into finance and economics and business.
What did you do with computer engineering? So you remember that? Which programming languages you wrote, and what was it?
C++. It was very, very cut and dry. It's not like what now we have MicroProfile and we have, open source. To tell you the truth, at that time, we didn't even know what open source was, because it was not created. Clearly, Apache is celebrating 20 years. Yeah. So we pretty much are from that era.
Yeah, this is also true for me. And for me, it was also C, and even one crazy professor with Fortran, which was completely outdated. And we had to use, Fortran NEC. Probably even that. The NEC, the terrible NEC, the numerical library in Fortran. It was like, if you pass something in C, I remember one. So if there was a parameter, array of numbers, you pass this from C to Fortran. Fortran got it in reverse order, and you had to know this, but the professor never told us this. And this was like, you pass something and you got incredible stuff back. So no one knew what's going on, and there was like, what is going on? Stupid stuff. And this was the Fortran with NAG, and this was like numerical something library. So, you shouldn't look at this. This is like, if you like math, don't look at the NAC stuff.
Yeah, well, I get it. Seriously. Well, if anyone is serious about math, in physics and all these things, they can buy the Godel Fisher Bash. I call it Golden Braid book. It's amazing. It's like plus 700 pages.
You have to send me the link to the show notes. What's the name of the book?
It is called An Eternal Golden Braid.
Okay.
And I will send you the link. I love it so much. So, yes. And you have never been able to read it all. You open it and you just go through it. It's just impossible to have one page and just be there. It's a pretty cool book. I will send it to you. Yeah, private.
Cool. Perfect. Mm-hmm. So now, so you learned Java or you stopped with C and C++?
Yeah, I stopped there.
Okay.
That was like when I was moving, so I stopped there.
Yeah, and now the interesting part. So then you met the great David Blevins from TomEE, the creator of TomEE, and what you told me. So we should keep this private, but you were the coder back then, but yes. David was the businessman, and then you swapped the roles, right?
So no, David was studying psychology.
Psychology, okay.
Psychology, right? And I was studying computer engineering.
Okay.
And he was 20, I was 18. What do you do when you're so young? You study, you travel.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, he moved from psychology into computers.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
Okay.
It's just fun. But that is another call with him because I don't speak for anyone else, right? But it's just fascinating because not many of us talk about what we do as, you're only a contributor or a coder, but what did you do before? Like, for instance, Mark Heckler, a few weeks ago, had this thing, tell me 3 things I didn't know about you, in one blog, very short. And it's just so nice that you are able to say, or someone else can say, I used to do X. Things that you might not even know about the individual.
Yeah.
I think we need to do more of that so that it's not only the link to the professional, but also the person, because we're not limited to just be the professional. There are hobbies and there are things that we used to do or we continue to do, and we continue to choose to not drop out of our lives. And that is what makes us work with humans and understand each other a little bit better. There is this component of, I understand because X, right? But even because of the work. You know the person is a good person, and maybe there are some affinities that you two have together. I think that simplicity brings us closer.
Yes. And why I'm actually asking my guests how they started programming, because I was really curious, because there are lots of great, talents out there. How they started? Are there similarities out there? What motivated them? And there are complete different stories. So this is what I find interesting also, how they started, and to understand better from where they are coming. But I also invited David, but he didn't have any time, so I will try it again in one point of time. And I will ask him the question, how he started programming. Let's see whether he will lie and say, I started with 4 years, or will we say, okay, after, Amelia told me I started programming with 21. So let's see what happens.
You know what? I will never tell someone you need to do X for your life. Do you see? You need to own your life because you are the one to live it. So yes, he chose it because he wanted to, because he's very practical too. And he's persistent. He never gives up. If he believes something is worth it, he will go through it.
Yeah.
Yes. He loves learning. So this is why. Yeah, but it's funny how you say it.
Yeah, and for the audience, until David come to Airhacks FM, David is actually the creator of OpenEJB and then TomEE, and OpenEJB is well known, and TomEE as well. Very good.
Yeah.
Now,
he and Richard co-founded the project in 1999, in December 99. If you missed one of the blogs that he went through why TomEE and the history that we run, Apache TomEE for the holidays, then it was just like an introduction of a little bit of the past, because we cannot, he cannot assume that everyone knows OpenEJB, and it's not just him. It was also Richard, and then they worked on it, and it's just so much fun. That is definitely a call with him. It's just fascinating history.
Yes. So, and now about you, because you are a dangerous person. So you all try, and very, very direct. You say you try to resolve things directly, what I really appreciate. And now you are. What's actually your role at Tomitribe? So you are.
I am the co-founder, and operations.
Okay, operations co-founder.
I'm the chief in operations. So what we do is Tomitribe is about 6 years old, and I co-founded. David is the founder, and what he will ask, if he was asked what is his title, he gets copy for everyone. And if I am asked what do I do, I make sure that Tomitribe continues to run globally.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, perfect.
I do not like this thing about titles because we do more than the title itself. If you're so close to thinking my title doesn't require me to do X, then you have missed the mark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And people ask me, I know, not from IT, but neighbors or whoever, who is not from IT, or what you are doing, I cannot even explain. So I say, okay, I'm programmer. Okay, then if you say you are programmer, there are no questions left. So then I'm left alone. So this is the best possible. Not developer, nothing. Just I'm a programmer. Then it's okay. Leave him alone, no boring guy. and then you can enjoy. You can enjoy the silence, So these titles are stupid. To tell you a story, in a German company, it was 1995. It was very early Java. Developers went to a 2 hours meeting, and the topic of the meeting is whether on the business cards there should be a Java programmer or Java developer, because there is a difference. So what they are, whether they are programmers or developers, just imagine that. So there was at least 2 hours meeting discussing what should be on the business card. Nice, right? Something for you, such a meeting.
Whoa, no, that you already know what I would say.
Yeah. You would be probably a little bit louder, but and another true story. There were like, how to call it, strategic consultants for serious guys, and they completely ignored me. And there was like 1997, and I had we had some production issues, and I wanted to say something, but they were nice, but they completely ignored me. And someone told me they have internal strategy or internal advice not to talk with juniors. And on my business card there was nothing. This was just my name. And I say, okay. And what I did, because I was always freelancer, I reprinted my business card and wrote, enterprise, senior, whatever, Adam Bean. And I just redistributed the very first time my business card. And the next day they were, like complete different persons. So, hey, Adam, and what's your opinion? And then I told them my opinion and the project, and we were more productive. So this was...
that is amazing. You adapted. You learned. You adapted and you influenced.
Yeah, but this is fun. For me, it's fun to observe large companies, So this is like incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
But cool.
Large companies are trying to operate more as medium and smaller, because then they can change faster.
Yeah, this is why something like Tomitribe can still kick ass, and you should be very, very cautious not to grow. This is why I'm a little bit extreme. I'm alone, but but you should be not to grow. What I observe, whatever grows, it dies. This is my personal observation.
Oh, come on! We have trees that are covering entire what is it called? Entire blocks, and they're beautiful. Hundreds of years of. We're talking about right or healthy growth.
Yes,
that means that you grow with clients,
and
you grow with partners, and you grow with working with your peers. And there are so many layers. It's not one or the other. And we need to be super careful. Growth is wrong. I don't believe in that. I just believe that growing so fast does have negative things that we need to watch for. And growing without a plan also has issues, but we can never protect the future. We can only account for A, B, and C, whatever we think might happen or not, and then continue to observe, because we're not alone. We're not just one molecule, right?
Yes.
We are a part of an ecosystem, and that is what makes the community of Java and IT as a whole fascinating. And if we are talking about open source, that is one of the reasons why we're talking today with you. I'm talking with you today, is because it's just fascinating ecosystem that we are part of.
Yeah.
Which is so great.
Now back to Tomitribe. So what Tomitribe is, it started at least to provide commercial support around TomEE, right?
TomEE, ActiveMQ, and Tomcat.
Yeah, but at the beginning it was just TomEE, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you have ActiveMQ, Tomcat, and TomEE. So what it means is similar to Payara and Glassfish, right? So like Payara has commercial support for Glassfish or Payara, and you have the commercial support for TomEE. So similar relation, right?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, I call those support companies, right? Not only are we creating collaborating in the creation of the code, if it's open source, because we also have proprietary software. But if we're consuming open source, that means we are also contributing to it directly. And this is why we go and share and participate and are part of those communities, because it matters. I believe that as users and creators, we're fully responsible, because open source as a whole is not protective itself. You see, it's protected by those ones that use it and those ones that create it. It's an ecosystem. So it's just a different thing. And as a company that provides enterprise support, we want to make sure that our clients trust us. This is why we have partnered with Sonatype. So we run CVEs and do all these things that happen to match each layer of the code when it gets released, so that as soon as the bug goes live, we are notified what's working on the fixes, so our clients can have that even before a fix by the community gets it. Okay. Right? So it's just fascinating.
So, yeah, but okay, let's talk about open source. So for me, open source is not a business model. So open source is just open source. So if I write software, so I can decide I would like, to put it to the open. This can have different reasons. One reason is, the most common reason is like larger companies, this was a few years back, they open sourced what was not their core business. And what you get out of that is you don't have to pay too much for maintenance, because the community, with the hope, will fix the issues if this is popular. So this would be the one. There are some strategic open sources, like to try to control the market, I would say. This is like Android, for instance, and a little bit Kubernetes. And of course, hiring, right? So this is what Netflix did. They open source as much as possible in the hope that developers will learn outside and just comes as skilled developers back to the company. And what happened recently in the last few years is like open source is a business model where open source was misused as to get some venture capital. And this is pretty dangerous, because, this usually doesn't work. And then everyone is disappointed. So for me, open source is fascinating, but it's less, I would say, it is not a business model. It's just,
It's not. It's not a business model. Let's do an example, and you're correct. We need to be careful with how we define open source, and you have done it correctly. You said, you're a coder, you're a user, but you're not concerned with Y and X. Why should you, right? You're just, you have the responsibility to protect it and what you commit to be healthy, correct? Let's talk about Apache Software Foundation, right? Like, this is the perfect example about a 20-year foundation where this is fascinating. They have more than 7,000 committers, plus 350 projects. The 350 plus projects are self-managed under the Apache way. And everything happens in the forum, and it's open. And they have this model that is community over code, which is one of the most important things in a 20-year history. The tracing is superb, because Apache contributors and committers believe that should the code get decommissioned or something happen and they have to stop using it, they can create it. A strong community within the projects, they can create whatever they want, because they are healthy and they bring, if the community has 50 committers or 50 contributors, let's just use contributors. Then this ecosystem of contributors will survive whatever is thrown at them, because we cannot know what is going to happen in 5 months or 1 year, right? It's just code and bugs and so many hackings happening, but this community can do it. Apache is celebrating the 20 years this year, actually, and then we have the Apache Las Vegas that is happening just before CodeONE, San Francisco. And it's so exciting because though founded by 21 people in 1999, I believe, look at this. It's not about these 21 people, individuals. It is about what they believed it should be. There are no companies that own the IPs. There are no layers of memberships. Each one of those contributors or committers has a power to contribute and influence. And this is not branded by who they work with, but by themselves. It's like the signature is whatever they do to contribute, right? It's just an incredible model. And
yes,
we should
but
praise
the
it.
most, I would say the most, or the modern projects, Apache, the recent one, like data science and so forth, they're usually sponsored by companies, or the developers are working full time from a company, and then there are lots of competing projects. So there's a lot of politics going on, I suppose, like Apache Kafka, and there is a new one called Apache Pulsar, which is even a little bit more interesting. But they are complete different companies,
Yes.
sponsoring the developers. So what I want to say, what's really interesting is in open source, what happens if the sponsorships goes away. So if this project still sustains, this is interesting. So it means developers from all over the world contributing a patch, and because there are so many contributors, the project still moves forward.
Correct. And I think sponsorship is welcomed, but having a project survive only by the one vendor is not optimal. And that is what differentiates Apache from many, many, many other solutions, because they want to make sure that the individuals, in the contributions last forever, and that no matter who you work for, you are important and you have as equal value as anyone else that comes from a little, big, middle, or large corporation or company, right? So it's just a level of social responsibility by everyone that is part of the ecosystem. In 20 years, Apache has, the contributors have sent more than 1 billion lines of code. And thus that code has become plus 3 million of commits. And that cannot be done just by a few people, right? Mm-hmm. There are no IP owners. It's just, the stats do not lie. And it's just fun. You meet an Apache committer or contributor, and as anyone else, you see they work, they also contribute to Eclipse. They also contribute to Linux. These people, most of them are from multiple communities. And at the core, they continue to be the same because that is what they believe in. We believe in that kind of thing. So it's just fascinating. It progresses. It breaks into other ecosystems. Is what I mean.
Yeah, for me, it's less fascinating. It's more pragmatic. So
Mm-hmm.
for instance, today I found I don't know, probably even a bug, and I thought, should I create a issue, or should I fix the bug? So if and this was because created issue is painful actually. So you have to write the context, you have to write a lot, and it's more fun, just to fix the issue and contribute, the pull request. Even it's not taken, so you actually you learned actually at least something. Just writing around the issue is for me at least boring, and I don't learn anything new. But contributing code is more fun. So for this, I would contribute some code and say, okay, at least I learned something. And this will of course move the company forward. And Apache aside, because Apache is a little bit too big, but TomEE is interesting, or Tomitribe. For instance, if I would use TomEE, I use TomEE in a few projects, I always told the client, before you hire me to fix the, you have some problems in production, you should actually hire the TomEE guys, or I say it very often about Payara guys. And actually, for Glassfish, I was also I suggested to buy Glassfish support at Sun Microsystems back then, because if you write the code, you know the code really well, and you can provide the best possible support. So actually, it's a money-saving procedure. And in the case of TomEE or Payara, smaller company, in Apache, it's a different, because if the HTTP, let's say the HTTPD, where everything started with the Apache. So the server is that big. I would say to buy support from a company, IBM sold support, but it is like, it is too major probably. So it is because it's a part like an operating system, This is more or less like,
yes.
This is the larger companies would buy, the support for HTTPD or for Linux, for instance. And something like Tomitribe or TomEE is even more interesting, for startups even, because I would say, for me, it is very simple. Either you have money or you have time. So if you have time, you don't need a support. In one point in your career, you will get money, and then you can save time just by buying support. So this is this. And if your company cannot decide, they would like to save time without money, this is what doesn't work.
I understand. You see, thank you so much for saying, hey, you should check out Tomitribe or Payara before I fix this. And this is an interesting philosophy that you have. And I know that makes you super strong, because we do provide the support for Apache TomEE. And one of the things that I do want to correct here is that Apache TomEE is one of the 300 and something projects in Apache. One of the coolest things about TomEE is that it has 9 components, and the 9 components are 9 projects that are Apache projects, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I am saying projects, but it's because it's so fascinating, the project itself. It has 9, it's made out of 9 different projects within Apache. Look at the level of ecosystems. For a contributor, someone wants to contribute into Apache and is looking for something a project that will provide the quickest form of learning, say coder, designer, you name it. You need to make sure, what are the components, right? And then we go into how many releases. TomEE has 29 releases, right? So if you check into the Git, and then that means today the community is about close to 90 contributors. And there are contributors that are translating the code into not English, but translated it into Portuguese, Spanish. And this community is global, right? Because they feel that they are not only learning as users and developers, but also they want their communities to be able to contribute as users and developers. And I believe that kind of mentality is helpful, right? You say, because you are a business coder, you say, before I go into this, have you checked into this company? Because maybe you can have support and it will be cheaper than me charging you the daily rate, and this will take me 6 months. Because I imagine you do a proof of concept before you jump into a project, and that will take A and B. You need to decide which clients that you go to, and is this feasible? Because you have the time, right? You have to be ruthless with your time. And that is one of the things that makes you the coolest Adam, right? You
no.
do things.
Yeah, but yeah. But what also is the case, separation of concerns, If before I fix, something on my client side and TomEE, and actually create a fork of a official, source code, this is actually more damage to my client, because then they will have, to maintain their fix. But if I contribute back, the fix to you, there is no fork. So the client gets, more support for free. And if you help the client, you are going to be faster. It gives the client no better impression, and I could do, the more exciting stuff for me. So this is like, a little bit selfish, I would say.
Yeah, no, but when you say you mean the project itself, right? Because Tomitribe doesn't own TomEE, right? We support it and we add to it. We are one of the contributors, right? And that means that is what makes it super fascinating, right? Like we're talking about.
But I don't know whether you know the story. Probably yes. David Blevins and Dan Allen, Mojave Linux, on Twitter. You know Dan Allen?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Usual suspects, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we met, I think it was either the year before Oracle bought Sun, or it was this year, but it was in Moscone in the basement. And we had a chat about future of Java 5 or 6. I cannot even remember. And David said, okay, Apache is great. We have already OpenEGB and we have Tomcat and we can compose, whatever like. And Dan and me, we try know, it's like, hey, David, but, no one knows that you can compose application server from OpenEGB and everything else. And then I remember that David started TomTom. And the TomTom thing was, the name was a little bit dangerous because of the company. And then was Tommy, which was actually a perfect name. And for me, it's like, the David is the creator of Tommy, regardless from which, he had the idea and he executed the idea, this for sure. And whether the project is on Apache or not, I don't really care. It's just the same like, for me,
yes,
Sun Microsystems created Java. And whether this OpenJDK is now, open source or not, for me, still, Sun was behind Java. And now a little bit Oracle. So if I would buy support, for OpenJDK, I will ask first Oracle if their engineers are actually still at Oracle. But let's say they are at Oracle, I will go first to Oracle because they are the source, the company behind, JDK. So I will ask Oracle first and then the other companies, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. You're correct about this. And that is, you see, because we're talking about individuals and communities and how something happens, and the history, right? But it's all under an umbrella. Like what you talk about, it could have ended maybe, I do not know where else, but it ended up in Apache. And I think the individual to choose, hey, this is kind of cool, let's do it. And then you brainstorm. Right now we have conferences where these kind of ideas get to be brainstormed in a safe, confidential form. And then they get executed. And it's just so fun. You guys were just one of the earliest to do the unconference with beer at hand. Like a beer cures everything when you're so exhausted. And then you're talking and you don't have your computer open. You're saying, hey, help Ix. And it's so fun. I think that was like what, 2001, 2003?
No, it was later.
Like
I think it was 2008, 9, something like this, around this.
This is fun. Let's go into Sun and let's go into the JCP, who is also celebrating 20 years anniversary right now. And we will have the 20 years anniversary party at Oracle CodeONE. Mm-hmm. And you said something super nice. You said you correlate Java to Sun as the creators. And
yes.
That is correct. No one can say no to that. Right?
Yeah.
So then can we go into this and we can say, Sun created the JCP, and that is the Java community process for anyone here who will not know what the JCP means. And then that was the solution for Sun to welcome anyone else that was not a Sun employer to create things in the Java name and new APIs inside the Java and Java X today, right? Like,
yes.
That is exactly. So we have 20 years plus on this, and not many people realize the amount of work that the JCP has put forth. You see, like David, I think did a blog 2 years ago, and it was how many JSRs have been submitted.
Yeah.
And do you know the exact number, Adam?
Exact number, no, but I suspect 300 or something like this.
Okay, so I can tell you this because I remember the blog. That is one of the things about reading. You remember things. So let me help you here because it's fascinating. So we have 410 JSRs have been submitted. Mm-hmm. And of those, about 130 plus were rejected by the JCPEC committee or because they were withdrawn by the expert leagues or something didn't work. Mm-hmm. So then we're talking about 250 JSRs that throughout the world have about 500 to 900 you call it experts in the industry, right? I call them contributors. Mm-hmm. And one of the most amazing things about this 20-year history is that right now, through Eclipse, we are working on getting those 59 IP owners that are responsible for the last 20 years to transfer their IPs. So I imagine you already got something from Eclipse.
Yes.
That is contribute, and that is part. When we have that document going through, I think, most contributors and companies are getting the data. but there is no history behind it. And I'm just saying there are 250 some JSRs, and there are thousands of owners not thousands. I mean, there are thousands of lines of code owned throughout the world.
Yeah.
Only by 59 different IP owners.
Yeah.
Only 59. That's it. That's the number.
By the way, I had also a JCP, JSR, which I had to withdrawn in 2002. So you remembered me about that. So this was the client-side container in 2002. I submitted one, but had to withdraw it because of political things. But for me, JCP is a great success. And I was able, to sell Java to a lot of companies just because of JCP and JSR. I think because, without JCP, there would be no stable documentation starting with it. So JCP, you were forced, to have a PDF, which was the spec, the TCK, which was the test container, and the reference implementation. And this was a superb idea back then, because you could rely that to all APIs, you get, a PDF with the documentation. Because all other frameworks and libraries, there was nothing documented. So this could be a feature, it could be a bug. But with Java, it was not perfect, but it was at 80% at least it was documented, which was great for me. I also completely, used that for my learning experience, because I just read the PDFs, not everything, but, just to understand what's going on. And I knew exactly when something breaks, and in the PDF, I can prove the point. The vendors had to fix their implementation because it was not, it was not compliant with the PDF. So for me, it was a huge time saver in evaluations. I evaluated lots of application servers, say, hey, look, vendor, this is the PDF and you behave differently, fix that. And without PDF, it would be mission impossible. It was like just talking without any result. So for me, JCP, a really great success. And I heard a lot of criticism about JCP. I cannot get it because there was actually no downside, except, of course, Sunhead was not, how to call it. At the end, they were not very clear, or not to. They had to open source more, or to make more open, which happened at the Oracle time actually. But yeah, this was the only criticism you can get. But this is not the fault of JCP. It was a Sun problem.
No, and exactly. So this is why it's so nice that to understand the history, right? It's 20 years. We have, recap really quickly, 410, about 400 JSRs. Out of those, 250 are still running. And you as the R&D that consults with amazing, very strong companies out there in the world, have benefits from the JCP being a protector of the APA standards. They created the TCK, that is for the IPIs, and then they manage the application server, and now we have the cloud. So the amount of work they have done now gets to be housed under the Jakarta EE working group. The Jakarta EE working group, currently we have 3, are the ones in charge, or I call them successors. I call the Jakarta EE working group the successor of the JCP EC, and the responsibilities are not small. The coolest thing is that many from the JCP EC and those that contribute to its setup are also collaborating in the new ecosystem under the Eclipse umbrella. So we have a bright future if we bring with us the things that worked well. Like, do you see what I mean? It's just, now we're talking about openness and things is open source. Most people, not you, but most people would think, oh, Sun created the JCP, but that is private. Actually, the JCP does have some people, some seats, they get chosen by the community, and it's, it has changed throughout the years, especially in the last 5 years. So it's just a good thing to understand and not blame Sun or Oracle or JCP. It's just things change and we continue to move, and hopefully we don't forget the things that did not work and just take the things that did work. Yes. Because I believe there's much to gain from the amazing work that the JCP and the contributors have achieved and you included, Adam.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. But I was one of the laziest contributors, so I really I really wanted to contribute it. But at the end, at conferences, it was crazy. I always was like, this time I will contribute more and contribute more. But at the end, it was like, just trying. But yeah. But what I don't like is not in JCP, but in the criticism is that many people complain without providing a constructive solution, or right. just provide constructive feedback. So if the whole community, let's say 1,000 of developers would be enough, will come to Sun and say, hey Sun, we have to change JCP because it will change. Because usually the managers at Sun, they couldn't sustain the pressure. So usually they will change their mind. And my experience with the people who actually do the work, like the developers and JCP writers, they were extremely open and actually still are. So if you go to the Jakarta E mailing list, you will still find, Oracle, Old Sun employees who actually still like to improve the whole thing. So it's not like, they are against that. No, in contrary, they really would like to contribute as much they can, or as much, the legal department allows them to do. So so I see the whole thing is very positive. And if you just, if you are a young developer and see a large company, you are assuming they are evil, which is actually never true. So this cannot be
never
evil
true.
because too many people are involved. It's just, they are moving slower, and not everything is reasonable, which doesn't mean it's evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we co-founded MicroProfile 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago, we just ended the first 3 in June. MicroProfile. This is fascinating because we're talking the link between JCP and MicroProfile. Not only did the project got formed and is still under incubation under the Eclipse Foundation, but when we chose to file the first JSR, that is config JSR, we didn't do it through companies. In the history of the JCP, there is only one foundation that has filed a JSR. We filed the JSR, 382, config, MicroProfile config, under the Eclipse Foundation name. Though there are 2 leads, that is Emily and Mark. The JSR is actually, the foundation is actually responsible for it because we wanted to set precedent onto, it's not the company or just the individual. We want to make it scalable, something that will last beyond one person. And we believe that foundations like Apache and Eclipse are valuable on this thing. So now, if we move,
you are right. So I'm just looking up this is the JSR 382 configuration API 1.0.
Wow, I remember it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, you are a mathematician, so you have to remember.
No.
So this was like Emily Junk and Mark Strubeck, which is actually also guest in the podcast. And what's really funny, I know Mark from conferences, but never had the chance to talk with him personally because of time. He is from Vienna and I'm from Munich. It's like 250.
So close.
Yeah, it's very close. It's like 250 or 300 kilometers. I don't know what is miles, probably 150 miles or something. So very close for you. It's not like the neighbor village in America, but USA, but in Germany is like 2 countries. And the Mark is extremely pragmatic, and he just doesn't know open source because he's pragmatic, and in his job it's just something completely different. It's like a firefighter consultant, and it just does open source because it's a time saver and is also honest to his client. So it's also interesting experience with him, and he is one of the specification leads for configuration, which I actually didn't know. One question is about the MicroProfile. I was involved in the day -1 call with John Klingen, I think Kevin Sutter, but I don't think you were involved. I don't remember that. But
I was involved.
Okay. And but
I'm super loud, so...
But my question was, you probably met before the call somewhere, because as I attended the call, everything was more or less prepared. It's more like, we thinking about... So how long before you started planning, or how it happened? You remember that?
You know what? That is a great question for you to join the community hangout that we have twice a month on Tuesdays and freaking tell those on the call, because everything that happens in MicroProfile goes through the community call that happens 2 hours a month. Invest one and come and tell us. Most of the work before it went live, it was done internally because of reasons of speed.
Yeah.
And it was just, by the time you were invited, it was already the skeleton was formed. And, we drafted the website in less than 2 weeks. Pretty much, it was just an incredible effort. Not one person is responsible, but a few people.
Yeah, sure. But it seems like, Red Hat, you and also the TomEE and this London Java user group and Payara, you all met.
IBM, Red Hat.
Yeah, you met at conferences before, I think, several times. So, and then you got the idea with MicroProfile, which, by the way, is a great hack because, MicroProfile is not a profile, right? So you try to move Oracle to deliver Java 8, actually.
Yeah, well, we're talking about, this is the coolest thing. We just had the MicroProfile 3.0 release, and that is the successor of 1.4, and both releases use Java EE 8, right? So for our users out there, because we definitely want everyone that is interested in microservices to check out MicroProfile. If you're using Java EE 7, you still need to stay with 1.4 because the Java EE 7 IPPIs are still intact. But MP 2.4 and 3, we break changes like health check 2.0 and metrics 2.0. They are the broken changes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just saying that at the beginning of the MicroProfile, the whole idea of MicroProfile is to make Oracle aware that the community will move forward regardless whether Oracle will do something or not. Yeah, this is what I wanted to.
That is the signature.
Yeah.
The community will move forward and we can take responsibility. It's not about blaming now Oracle for. It's about there is a need and there is the thrive to get together, even though we can be considered competitors, and for the greater good, and also survival of the previous work. 20 years cannot go to waste, right?
Yeah.
So then MicroProfile is born, and then we still want to use the system that we believed that worked. So then we file the JSR, not as Tomitribe or IBM or Red Hat or Payara, but we filed it under the Eclipse Foundation because the project moved there in January 2017. So it's just a process and it's transparent. But if you're not paying attention or if you are new, I think we will need to document a little bit better so that quick things that is what happened. And this one, we're working on it. These are the co-founders and this is how long it took. Definitely. But join a community call and just say, I want to maybe have a MicroProfile panel for 1 hour, right? You can do this. And we would be like, oh, sure. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you about MicroProfile because I think it's fascinating. MicroProfile is plus 80 contributors. In this community, the community is amazing. There are different calls depending on the projects, but the community call that happens to us, I can't state it enough. If you are a user or you are a coder and you will want to contribute for the first time in open source, you are in college or you are learning something with Java, join because we use a flat structure. You don't need to be employed by one of the founders. We don't care where you're coming from. What we care is you want to contribute. You choose how to contribute. There are no time frames. We have a sandbox that will enable anyone to play with ideas, even if they go nowhere. You're still welcome. And during the calls, you can add topics to the agenda. The structure is set so that anyone and everyone can show up and do stuff. Yeah. If you're going to send us, I want an X, but you're not willing to get your hands dirty, just don't show up because having big ideas, but throwing the debt to someone else because you think you should be entitled to do that doesn't work in open source. Great ideas get implemented and we get our hands and our brains in it, along with anyone else. And a title or the ego needs to be watched. And that is why.
But what I can confirm is I looked at several MicroProfile projects, and it's really easy to start because you can just clone, the GitHub repo, and the structure is understandable. So you can just execute the tests. So if you have an idea, you can start it, and it is easy, really easy to start a new MicroProfile project. So you are absolutely right. I think it is easier to start a MicroProfile project than an Apache project. Way easier.
Well, we are specifications, right? We call it specs, but we're not talking about creating specifications. We're talking about you can contribute to the current specifications or bring a new idea that is likely to be implemented depending on sustainability, right? Mm-hmm. So with 25 repos, we want to make sure that we control the growth and the level of what can be maintained, right? And that means each community has diverse contributors, and many cross paths within all of the projects, and some other ones are only maybe interested in metrics. Yeah, right. You can do this. You don't have to do one or the other, or both. It's your choice. As you see, with 25 repos right now, I think we ended the month with like plus 100 commits, and this is because we're done with the release MicroProfile 3.0. So during release times, we pretty much double the stats. So for June, for May, we have like plus 180 commits, right? And then this month, we ended the stats with 107 commits. But when we talk about contributing, it's not that you are valuable because you are sending code or adding issues and bugs or PRs. You are also committing to the forum, the MicroProfile Google forum, and then you are following. Everything has value. One of the things about the Eclipse tools is that it only grabs from the Gits, right? So it's a soft stats. We get the soft stats that help us, but a contributor is more than that is just in the surviving or living in the Git.
Yes.
This is what makes MicroProfile great for developers, for someone that wants to help us say, what is MicroProfile? For someone, a 7-year-old should be able to understand what MicroProfile's value is, right? So it's just it's a nice ecosystem. It's safe because if you throw crap, the trap is going to be the shed is going to be thrown back at you. We don't do that, and we're open, right? We're open. Everything is happening in the forum. Yeah.
You are too excited about MicroProfile because actually what I also wanted to talk with you is about Tomitribe and TomEE. So if you are a little bit interested, because MicroProfile is your fascination. But so I have first homework to you. Yeah, first homework to you is you have to make the tomee.apache.org website a little bit more exciting. Nothing happens on the website for years, and this is a marketing problem.
No, and so let me stop you there. The TomEE website is run by its community. If you want anything changed, you just submit the PR and it gets approved like any other, contribution, and it gets adjusted. That website cannot be adjusted by us as Tomitribe,
but you could,
because it's actually open source.
Yeah, but
you can say,
you could put, you could send them a nice, pull request with to make a little bit different. So what I wanted to say is the website should change more frequently, regardless how it looks like. And the reason being is because the clients, business clients, don't get the difference we're talking about. If they look at Apache TomEE, it's like nothing happens for years. What's going on? And this is a major issue, a marketing issue, I would say, because it is hard to get. It looks like that because it doesn't. So the design didn't change. Of course, if I'm coder, for me my answer would be it works for me. So it is functional, but from marketing perspective, it's dysfunctional because it should be updated more frequently, just to make it different. And by the way, the Tomitribe website, tomitribe.io, looks great. So this is, but the relation between TomEE and Tomitribe is for me not clear. So it's different in
Yes.
Payara. In Payara is a little bit more smart because they have, this is not fully open source, the website, of course, but I'm telling you from the outside perspective, the first impression is different. And
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And what I also wanted to talk about a little bit, the interesting part of Tomitribe.io is /projects, and you have lots of interesting projects going on. There's a Crest, Sheldon, Hodao, Beryllium, Sabot, Swizzle, Chatterbox, Sheldon starter projects, Tommy Jacksore starter, Microscoped, and HTTP signatures for Java, which is interesting and useful. So, which is lesser known about Tomitribe. So you have Tomitribe open source project, which are really interested in for Java developers. And for instance, the Tomitribe Sheldon is really cool because it has an SSH client which you can log in and manage. So this is pretty useful and actually pretty cool stuff. And this is somehow hidden at the Tomitribe.io. So this is the TomEE is completely open source. You are the creator of TomEE, but you are holding you back because the community should develop
on
TomEE
its way.
Yeah.
Like the community has the equal responsibility to modify and add value, just as you say. Why is a website like this? And you are asking the wrong question. That is the kind of question that should be asked directly in the forum. If it doesn't happen in the forum, it will never get there because I will not speak for you. You already know it. With Tomitribe.io, that is a fascinating point that you brought up. It's a website, and we will keep it under our infra. And it's important to us because it welcomes anyone to try stuff. It has examples, and it moves TomEE further. If you do not want to go into the Apache side of the fence, but you still want to know what's going on there, you can come into the Tomitribe.io and check one of the projects, just test it. And it's just super fun. Just like you said, it's valuable.
Yeah. This is more, let's say, GitHub does it better. So if you go to GitHub, every open source project looks boring in the same way, right? So there's, you know what I mean? So if you go to this is this is the commit stuff and README, and this is basically it. And there is a GitHub page, so you can link a page to GitHub, and this is more or less external page, homepage. And this is completely clear. So if you go there, it looks great. And this is usually the support page with a link back to GitHub. And the problem probably from Apache, the distinction is not that clear because every Apache page looks different. You know what I mean? So there's that the Apache TomEE looks like a TomEE and the other page looks like something else, but not necessarily as a Apache something. And the new Apache project like Kafka look completely different. And by the way, very professional if you look at Kafka, for instance.
Yes, yeah, Kafka. And they are being used by, They do a really good thing. With that.
And this is what I just wanted to tell you. If this TomEE would look nicer, it would be better for your business, I assume. So it's just because, And another project which is pretty interesting, and I got actually a question today at the AirHacks TV before. You have Tribestream API Gateway.
Yes.
Also interesting project. So why I should why I make here marketing for your projects, actually. This is on my own podcast. But this Tribestream API Gateway is very interesting. So you have routing, secure, and load balance, and I assume it runs on TomEE or on Java at least, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And can you tell me about that a little bit? What the thing is?
Well, we launched actually Tribestream at CodeONE when you and I were talking at that booth.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. And the coolest thing is already stated there. So if you want to know about Tribestream, it is a little bit deeper in the level of coverage than TomEE, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it secures your servers, but in an extra layer. And what is challenging to do is at the moment we are working with partners in Brazil because at Java 1, this year at Java 1, we will present the usability of Tribestream. How does a medical industry gets to use Tribestream and benefit from it?
Cool.
And so this is one of the sessions that you're going to be there clearly. So attend, because finally, for me to be, it does this and this and this, that is boring. What we want is a case study that tells you this kind of ecosystem in this country uses it, and these are what the Tribestream has solved for them, right? So you have to, it's just super exciting. And that is the first time we're going to have a case study as part of a session in CodeONE, and we're extremely excited because the partner is working with us to get to that section, and we're gathering the metrics and everything, and it's just extremely hardcore because everything is happening as we speak, since we just launched it last October.
Cool. And hopefully the session is going to be delivered by David.
Yes, it's going to be delivered by our partner and 2 extra drivers.
Cool.
Yes.
Because I really enjoy sessions from David. The last one, or like deconstructing JAX-RS. So it's also was really great session, and David always does a great job.
And that is a little bit of, because you have been in that session, that is a little bit of what Tribestream does.
Yeah.
And even though Tribestream is proprietary, some of the portions we do choose, like with TomEE and Java EE. So it's cool.
Very good. So to summarize our discussion today is the following. TomEE is doing very well. Tomitribe even better. So seems like, right?
Yes. So TomEE is a vibrant community.
Yeah.
And as you can see, what we have done and what we try to focus is everyone should be recognized no matter where they come from. If you help any project that is open source, you should be highlighted because it's worth it. Not only by the community, the single community, the single individuals who say, thank you, you're awesome. But Tomitribe is pushing this thing, we call it badges. And if someone sends and something becomes a first commit, they get a little banner. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, I saw the banners. This is a great banners. It's like I commit. This is my first commit. It was like banner with an image, which it was great logo. It was the night. It looks nice, and I saw it on Twitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we say we are so excited about TomEE, we're excited about MicroProfile in Jakarta, and though all of them are open source, what we choose to do is on the TomEE side, things that we can not really control, but actually push, is saying, thank you, David Salter, or all these other amazing contributors out there that are prioritizing, not dropping one project for the other one, but choosing to scale their knowledge via not only the blog or a video or just code. We call it Beyond Code. And you have been part of this, and it's so much fun. And this is, passion just by a voice doesn't mean anything. You have to show it via actions. And
yeah, here we go. So in XTV, I get sometimes question where I can contribute. I'm a young developer, what to do. So now there is call to action, right? So
it has always been call to action.
Yeah, but you can contribute to TomEE or even MicroProfile through TomEE. So we have you sent me to show notes, the MicroProfile calls. So there are monthly, right? Monthly MicroProfile calls.
We have every other Tuesday. And one of the things about TomEE, you can deploy TomEE with Java EE or Jakarta EE 8 once it goes live, but also MicroProfile. So see, if you're using TomEE, you can deploy TomEE with Java EE and MicroProfile. The two of them are not separated, right?
Yes.
So TomEE is inclusive. You want a project, you can, if you are a MicroProfile, there are so many runtimes, but TomEE is one of the servers, and it's just together. There is no TomEE or MicroProfile. Both of them are able to sustain each other.
Cool. So now, where people can find you, and if you can, share some links.
Find what?
Find you and whatever links you would like to share on the internet. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So me at Twitter. But if you want to know if you're using TomEE or Tomcat if you're a user of TomEE, Tomcat, or ActiveMQ, and you need support, and you want accountability to be sure that your production is protected before development, I call it pre and then post, you can contact us. Just go into tomitribe.com and you will know exactly how quickly it is. One email. For anything else, there's so much to do in open source. Even if you are not a coder, especially for the users, check out the communities. I think healthy communities are based on the people and the contributors. A community that has only 2-3 contributors active, we need to be wary of those communities, because what happens if the two contributors disappear? What is cool about TomEE and MicroProfile in Jakarta, we didn't even get to it because it's just starting. But for TomEE and MicroProfile, each project has more than 80 contributors active, moving things along. There is no company that gets to say, I call the shots. And it's the same with TomEE. And that is what makes it so valuable. You want to find us? It's not about us. It's not me, you, them. It's about us. You just go and find it. Like MicroProfile.io, it tells you join the forum or check it out. And then the same with TomEE. You want to help? You go into the tribe dev list, send a message and say, hey, you guys, I want to contribute. And you go from there. And with Jakarta, now we have moved everything to the open and the level of after. Now we have to decide with a big bang or a slow motion. And that is what is happening next. But most of the conversations are happening in the forum. So if you want to know what's going on after 20 years with the JCP controlling and protecting the JSRs, if I am one of those contributors, like there are like close to 1,000, where do I go? You go to the forum. Avoid private messages. That doesn't work.
Cool. So thank you a lot. And I hope I can invite you back in one point of time.
Oh, it was super fun. It's always a pleasure, my dear friend. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.